what's an AEC diesel in it still?
Yeah, so it's got the 11.3 litre straight six diesel. Yeah, it's about 150 horsepower.
It's obviously loads of torque though.
Yeah, so top speed is about 35.
You may think this is the main feature of this video, and if it was, it wouldn't make a very good video because obviously we're on the floor and you can't really see the car. But this is sort of the first incarnation of the main feature of this video. Obviously this kind of just looks like a Capri, but it isn't. It's a really, really special car. Do you want to give us some background on what this thing is? We'll come inside a minute.
So, so this car is basically, it's a 1976 Group 1 touring car.
I didn't know at the time, when I first saw the car, that this has been a race car for a really long time. Welcome back to Classic Britain, and today we have wandered up to my friend Andrew's place to have a gander at his vast collection of madness. I think madness is one way you could describe it. And yeah, well, you've clicked on the title, so there are lots of interesting race cars, not just the main feature of this video, but lots of other stuff we'll take a look at, including this AEC Militant, and what's on the back of it we'll have a look at in just a second. Hello Andrew, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. What's the story on this Militant then?
So when I was 18, 19, I built the car that was on the back of the truck, and I wanted a classic race transporter for it. So I was originally going to get myself a Bedford TK, which is what most people want for that sort of thing. So I started buying classic truck magazines and looking through the classifieds, and on the front of it was a Militant owned by a guy called Robert, and I saw it and I thought, that's really cool. I really like that. Why don't I get one of them? And I was like, well, that's just ridiculous because you can't use something like that as a race transporter, so it defeats the object. But I decided I wanted one anyway, so I scrapped off the classic race transporter idea and thought I'll just get one of those. And at the time there was one for sale, and it had been down sitting in a field for 20 years in Poole in Dorset, and it was either that one or nothing. So I saved up all my pocket money, and yeah, we went down and got it. And luckily it started, it ran, it wanted a clutch. But yeah, and we brought it back on a low loader to the workshop, and I spent sort of 3 years getting it to where it is now. It still wants more work, but it is roadworthy. I do drive it around occasionally, take it to shows. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much up to present.
What year is it?
So it's a 1955.
55.
So it was built in October 55, issued to the army in January 56, and it went straight out to Singapore.
Oh really?
I've got its military vehicle card.
Oh, that's cool.
So I know where it's been all its life. Yeah, it did a couple of years in Singapore, and then it went to Hong Kong for a year, and then it was shipped back over to the UK, and it did runs up and down the UK for like the TA, carrying like massive loads of petrol cans of fuel, and then later on in its life it went down to Lulworth firing ranges, basically where Bovingdon Tank Museum is, and it was used to carry a water bowser to wet the tracks where the tanks drove to stop the dust going over the villages, and it used to carry the artillery trailers up to the firing range, and it was used to change the flags in the firing range so that people knew when the range was live, and it was painted yellow so people could see it, because if it was army green in like
you wouldn't
acres
see it
of green land, then yeah, you wouldn't see it. So yeah, that's pretty much its story.
And obviously I love the fact that you've got a British vice on the front of it.
Yeah, and it's come in handy. I've used it a couple of times actually. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, very practical machine.
And what's an AEC diesel in it still?
Yeah, so it's got the 11.3 litre straight six diesel. Yeah, it's about 150 horsepower.
It's obviously loads of torque though.
Yeah, so top speed is about 35.
Which isn't awful.
No, I mean, I drive it to Newark to the AEC show once a year. I haven't done recently because it's classed with racing. But yeah, it takes me about 3 hours to get there from Birmingham.
That's not too bad.
But yeah, it's great.
Anyway.
It's deafening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they used to call them knockers in the army because the noise from the engine was that loud. It was literally deafening.
Like literally deafening.
Yeah, the engine sits between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. And it's not even like underneath the cab, it's in the cab with you. It's like at sort of chest height.
So she's a bit noisy.
Yeah.
Right, so you may think this is the main feature of this video, and if it was, it wouldn't make a very good video because obviously we're on the floor and you can't really see the car. But this is sort of the first incarnation of the main feature of this video. Yeah, Tell us about how the A30 obsession came about.
So I've done oval racing since I was 15, and I did mini stocks and then stock cars, and then wanted to move up into classic hot rods. So I was trying to look for cars, and everyone uses Escorts and Anglias. There's a couple of different things out there, but I wanted something even more different, and I looked at loads of different things: Dolly Sprints, Rovers, all sorts of stuff, just to be different. And then me and Dad joked one day about building an A30, because an A30 was his first car, and his dad had an A30. So I was like, oh, okay. So I found one, and we went and bought it, and then I started cutting it up, and yeah, built it into the classic hot rod. Yeah, so it's got an Anglia rear axle, a Ford Pinto 2-litre engine. It's got the 4-speed rocket box, Sierra front coilovers. I think it had Escort coilovers on the back. Pretty much all custom apart from the steel shell.
So it's basically A30 paneling, essentially.
Yeah, so it's still got an A30 floor pan. The bulkhead was cut out.
Makes space, of course.
Yeah, and then the big wide wheel arches.
Because it's not massively dissimilar to what you've built, which we'll show in a few minutes. Obviously, you know, mechanically totally different, but in terms of aesthetics, it's pretty cool. Why the yellow? Match the AEC?
So, well, everything's painted yellow, unfortunately, because when Dad started racing when he was 17, he painted, I think, if I remember rightly, he had a Capri that he raced, and he painted it, it was either white or red, and he went out and he got absolutely totaled. And the paint they had at Mercedes where he worked was yellow. So he rebuilt the car and painted it yellow, and he didn't get wrecked. So from that point on, everything was yellow,
including the AC.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that was yellow originally anyway, after its army life. But yeah, it's our family colour.
Obviously, this kind of just looks like a Capri, but it isn't. It's a really, really special car. Do you want to give us some background on what this thing is? We'll come inside a minute.
So this car is basically it's a 1976 Group 1 touring car. It was originally built for Colin van der Velde, whose father was Tony van der Velde of Van Wall and Van der Velde Bearings. So he had the car built, raced it for 2 years, and then he rented the car to another famous name, which is Jerry Marshall.
Of Baby Bertha fame.
Yes. Jerry raced loads of things back in the day and is renowned as one of the greatest saloon car drivers of the UK. He rented it for a year. Him and Colin were really good friends, and then they became not so good friends when the car sold. And then the history got lost. This was 78, so there's been a lot of mystery around the car for a long, long time.
Got a bit murky.
Yeah. And it's only in the last sort of 5 years that Group 1 touring cars have come around again. So they're obviously current, they race at Goodwood, so people are finding them. And this was found by a friend of mine who runs a race preparation business, building cars. And the thought that it was the car was pretty much there since about 2009, I believe, that it might be the car. It was never confirmed. And then my friend who runs the race place, he did some more digging. It had a massive body kit on it, and he cut the body kit off and found some of the original livery under the body kit, and it was sort of confirmed as the car. But a lot of people were still sceptical.
If it was the actual car.
So then they put it up for sale, and I bought it, and I did lots and lots of research and confirmed that it definitely 100% is the car. And now I'm rebuilding it back into its original Group 1 trim.
To put on screen now, it looks kind of cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't wait to paint it, I must admit, because the car hasn't been in that livery for 40 plus years. So it'd be really nice to get some colour back on it.
What's the original spec of it? Because obviously it's a shell at the moment, but obviously adjustable coilovers on it, suspension, adjustable shuts.
So there's a bit of a undefined art between what Group 1 is, and then you had Group 1.5. and it was basically to make the racing faster towards the late 70s. So they allowed like alloy hubs and coilovers and slightly bigger brakes. The current spec of cars that run in Group 1 are Group 1.5 cars. They have the Group 1.5 modifications, and that's the spec that a lot of them run to now. But the shell would have originally came from Ford as a pre-production shell, so no chassis number, no chassis tag, nothing.
So it was never on the road, obviously.
No, and the thing with motorsport shells is they were brazed in all the corners, so all inside, like all these would have been brazed. Again, down here, all the structural points where the car joins would have been brazed for extra strength. They were built out of 1600 shells, the 4-cylinder shells, because they were lighter, because they didn't need the extra strength for the big 3-litre V6. So then they were brazed for the extra strength with the light chassis, and then they were built as a 3-litre S. So they had 3-litre S trim, 3-litre S running gear, and then they had slightly bigger wheels, slick tyres. That was pretty much it. They were quite simple things back in the day, touring cars.
Not far off stock, basically.
Yeah, they were like a fast road spec, so they had upgraded engines, upgraded exhaust, bigger carburetor, slightly bigger suspension brakes.
Similar to like sort of Group A in rallying.
Yeah, so Group A there was like a step above. They were allowed like centre lock wheels and different types
Roll
of
cages, obviously.
Yeah, well, they all had roll cages back in the day. I'm not sure actually when they actually made it mandatory to have roll cages, but all the 70s cars had roll cages, definitely. I would have said it's probably in the late 60s they decided to put roll cages in everything.
Right, so rather embarrassingly, I completely forgot about this car, despite the fact I've seen it at the NEC. Now, you probably weren't expecting sort of Japanese rotary goodness, but here we are. And I didn't know at the time, when I first saw the car, that this has been a race car for a really long time. And here he is. What's the story on this?
So it's an original production saloon from 1976. It was raced by Terry Main in 76, 77, and then it was rolled at Linden Hill. It was quite severely damaged, and then it laid up in his yard for a number of years till a guy called Mark Hales bought it as a shell, turned it into a modified saloon and raced it in the Wendy Walls Special Saloon Series. Did a couple of races with it, just missed out on a win because of a flag infringement, and then he sold it on. It got bought by another enthusiast who took the engine and gearbox out of it, and then it got sold to a Rotary enthusiast who basically restored the car to what it is now over the course of 25 years, but then had to sell it on during COVID. And it went to a car showroom, and then I bought it.
And here we are.
Yeah, that's it.
Can we have a look under the bonnet?
Yeah, sure. I've took all the bonnet pins out already.
Do you want to hammer the other side? Oh, no, there it is. Aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium boot and bonnet.
So also, I'm not too knowledgeable on these, but obviously rotary engine. Two rotor?
Yeah, so it's a 2-rotor, it's a 13B, peripheral port, which is the race spec porting of a rotary engine. You get side ports, which is standard, semi-peripheral, and then full peripheral. So this is rated near 300 horsepower.
Really?
Yeah, with a sort of power band between about 7 and 9.
7 and 9?
Yeah.
Crikey. So it likes to rev?
Yeah, so with rotaries, you've got to rev them. If you ever watched an onboard of a rotary, they're always going through the gears, and they're always, like an old Mini, they're always trying to select first through the slow bends to keep the revs up. Yeah, because that's where the power is. Because rotaries don't produce a lot of torque compared to nearly all the other configurations of engine, much like a 2-stroke, because they don't have a lot of spinning mass, because you've literally got 2 rotors spinning, the E shaft, which is the crankshaft, and the flywheel, and that's it.
Cool. What kind of gearbox is it?
So that is a RX-7 FD 5-speed gearbox that's been retrofitted into the car, because the car is basically an RX-3 shell, and that is it. All the suspension has been changed and modified. The back axle's changed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so we'll go through it. So the front suspension is Mark II Escort coilovers
Right, okay.
with these eccentric top mounts.
Yeah, I noticed that, that's what I was going to ask. That's cool.
The bottom arms have been modified to emulate sort of a Formula 2 car, so they've got really long stainless steel tubed bottom arms and track control arms. It's got the steering rack off a Hillman Imp. It's got like I said, a 13B out of an RX-7 and an RX-7 gearbox. And then it's got a Mark II Escort rear axle with coilovers. Originally it would have run leaf springs. That's pretty much it underneath. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Can we have a look inside? Obviously it's all stripped out, isn't it?
Yeah, that window's out.
Oh, proper. So there's no carpets, no nothing in it. Full race car.
Yeah.
God, the doors are fiberglass even.
No, the original door's just cut out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It feels so light.
Yeah.
Obviously, the main structure of the car is what's going to protect you in an accident, not the not the outer panelling. Cool. You sit not as far back as I thought you would.
No. So Mark wasn't a particularly tall man, or isn't rather, if he's still with us. Yeah. So the seats mounted. I think where it was in period, but it is an updated seat.
So this is what people clicked on the video for. This is the ultimate evolution of the first car we showed in the video. This is the A30 Monster, and when I first saw this car, it was basically a sort of a rolling chassis. It had the engine in it, and I think and the engine and gearbox was in it.
Yeah, it sort of looked like a dirt buggy. It was just a cage.
Yeah. It was just a cage and an engine and box. But now it's a full-on race car. So what's the story with this one? How did the evolution come about?
So when I built the first A30, the one on the back of the truck, as soon as that one was finished, I sort of always thought about building a bigger version with a V8. Didn't have any idea about circuit racing at that point because I was an oval racer, and circuit racing was like the devil. So I had no idea what it would be, what series it would go into, but I just knew I wanted to do it at some point. So I bought an A30 from Glasgow, and I had that on the road for about 2 years, and it kept breaking down. And at the same time, I had a Falcon that I was on about earlier, that I was building into a pre-66 touring car. That I realised was going to cost me too much money to finish, and I didn't have the expertise at the time to know about what suspension to use and what the right things were to buy. So I decided I'd go into a same make series, or build my own car. So I looked at a couple of the same make series, and it was really expensive. So I decided I'll just build my own car then. So I sold the Falcon, but I kept the engine and gearbox out of it that I'd bought. And then I cut the road going A30 up that had been sat there for 2 years because it kept breaking down. And I just merged the two together. And it started out as a massive learning curve as well, because I'd never built anything to this extent. So originally it was the same as the other one, so it retained its original floor pan and bulkheads. It just had a massive hole in the middle for the V8. And I put the hot rod style chassis rails on it, also big box section chassis rails that I'd welded into the original shell. And it wasn't going to be safe enough, definitely wasn't going to work. So I cut all that out, cut all the floor out, and built a box section chassis. Again, got quite far into that, and then decided that wasn't going to work, that's not good enough. So then I cut all that out. That was like months and months worth of work. Just cut it all out with a 9-inch grinder and threw it in the bin. And then built the tube frame chassis, which is what's under it now.
So it's a full space frame underneath it
Yeah.
now. So you went full on.
Yeah, full space frame with an alley floor, flat floor. But yeah, I built the basic chassis on the floor, and then tacked it into the corners of the shell, and then built the cage inside the car. Put the engine as far back as the rules allow, mounted it, and then just fitted everything else around it.
So it is now the Falcon 30.
Yeah, the A302 as I call it.
Not the A308. Or the A380.
Yeah.
Let's have a. So obviously, it's not very subtle as to what's under the bonnet. So what's the 302 V8? But it's been a bit played with now, hasn't it? What's been done to it?
So it's got its original cast crank, steel rods, forged pistons, Original cast flywheel, but it's been lightened, so the whole bottom end's been balanced very well. It revs to about 7.3 now, quite happily. But yeah, alley heads, roller rockers, massive valves.
Electric water pump as well.
Yeah, very expensive electric water pump, but they are great, because after you come in from a race and everything's hot, you can put the electric water pump on the electric fan and it can just cool itself down without the engine running.
Which is obviously great.
Yeah, I made all the exhaust manifolds and the exhaust system. It's got a Tremec 5-speed gearbox, a tiny prop shaft. I think the prop shaft is total length 14 inches.
Really?
From flange to the end of where the sleeve finishes. Yeah, and it sits 2 inches on the left-hand side of the seat, so that there's a massive steel tube that goes over the UJ, so if it ever did let go, it doesn't eat me alive.
Yeah, that's good foresight. And we'll come round the side of it, because you probably couldn't tell up until now, but the wheelbase is absolutely tiny, so it must be quite lively to drive. What did you say the wheelbase is? It's shorter than a Mini, isn't it?
Yeah, so the original wheelbase is 79.5 inches. So we're allowed plus or minus 2 inches by regulation, so naturally I extended it by 2 inches, so it's actually 81.5. But to put that into perspective, a Mini is, I think, 80.5. So it's only literally 1 inch longer wheelbase than a Mini now, once it's been modified.
And that has a really shouty Ford V8 in it.
Yeah, and it's 70 inches wide, so it's almost square.
So it's basically a box of a V8.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a go-kart, but with 400 horsepower.
And no weight. What does this weigh?
940. But it's quite heavy for the size of the car, but that's because it's built out of 1.75" 3mm tube,
Yeah,
2.64mm.
I mean, we were saying earlier, the guys who race Hillman Imps and stuff, like, if you have a really nasty crash in that, you're just going to die, aren't you? I mean...
Yeah, the legs are going to be flippy. Yeah.
Flapping in the wind.
Well, the arm out of Harry Potter when they take the bones out of it.
Side pipe, obviously. Yeah. A lot of people don't realise you do a lot of tracks now when you race. You do need some sort of silencing, don't you? Because there's noise regulations and
we're limited to 105 decibels on pretty much every track. This just about passes. I think at one point the innards of the silencer had not done their job, and I got tested at 119 decibels, which is fairly loud.
20 over.
Yeah. But yeah, so and also there was no other way for the exhaust to go anywhere, because the tyre, like where the tyres are at the back, they sit a couple of inches away from the seat, so there's no way the exhaust could go inside.
So you kind of had to do it like that.
Yeah, and like the four link on the back, the tie rods, you can't get your finger between the tie rod and the tyre, and you can't get on the other side, you can't get it between the tie rod and the cage.
What wheels are these?
So these are Revolution. Well, they're actually compomotive versions of Revolution. They're split rims, so they're 13-inch diameter by 10 inches wide, and the tyres are Formula 3 slicks second-hand that I use. It's really good on tyres though.
Yeah, you were saying earlier it's quite kind to the rubber.
Yeah, so I haven't changed the tyres in about a year.
Because there's barely any wear on them. It's unbelievable. You'd think, even on the back, look, if we look here, you can still see the original cross-hatching, which is unbelievable, isn't it, for a 400 horsepower car? Very short wheelbase and obviously, powerful and shouty. Can we have a look inside?
Yeah.
Look inside. Fiberglass doors?
No, they're steel.
Are they steel?
Yeah, so these are the original doors. All the panels are original, apart from the little bonnet is fiberglass and the boot's fiberglass. Everything else is the original panel work. Yeah, it's just been extended.
You can see the heft of the cage and the chassis in here, because obviously, if you want to be safe in a crash. And you have actually had a minor incident in this, haven't you?
Yeah,
it was a bit of a crash.
At Croft, it was about 40, 50 mile an hour sideways into the tyre wall. But because it was strong, we literally pulled the wheel arches out because they'd gone in, and we went out in race 2 and beat the car that we were chasing in race 1 when we crashed.
Beat the SD1.
Yeah, so that was nice. But yeah, that's the good thing with it. It is tough. So if you do have an accident, it will survive, and you can carry on racing.
Yeah, the seat is right back against the wall, and you're, what, 6'2", 3?
Yeah, 6'3".
Yeah, so it must be tight in there.
Yeah, it's very tight. It's always been snug ever since I built it, and I even moved the pedal box and the seat for this season, and it's still quite snug.
What gearbox is it?
It's the Tremec 5-speed. It's the TKX. It's their newest version. Yeah, I did have at side loader T10 out of a Mustang, but the problem was because it's a Mustang engine, Mustang gearbox, but with a Capri back axle on 13-inch wheels. Mustangs run 15-inch wheels with big tires, so it was really under geared. So in fourth at max revs, it was running out. So I really needed like an overdrive.
Yeah, a longer ratio.
So basically, I run the 5-speed as a 4-speed, so I just don't use first.
So go second, third, fourth,
Yeah.
fifth. Cool. Awesome. Can we start it up?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. This will be exciting. We can demonstrate the shoutiness of it. It idles better than I thought it would.
And just to tell viewers, I have warmed it up before this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not a max temperature. So the revs will come up a little bit on idle, but no, it's quite smooth for a lumpy V8.
And it sounds, you can tell it's a tight engine, you know?
Yeah.
It barely moves. It's unreal. It only moves ever so slightly when it's running.
Yeah, so I made the engine mounts, and the bushes that I use for the bottom are actually Sprinter bottom arm suspension bushes in a tube. So they're quite strong, but they still allow a little bit of give, just so it doesn't put all the forces through the block.
Oh, it does sound great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love it. A lot of people don't realise the noise it makes when they see it in the pits. They go, "What's that?" And then you start it up, and they're like, "What's the hell's that?"
There's obviously, I don't think there can't be anything like this racing. It's not in this country. This has to be quite a well-known car at this stage.
Yeah, it's got quite a following. The closest thing was sort of Peter Brock's A30 that he built in. Its first race was 1967, and he had a Holden straight 6 in that. But that car's long gone now. There's a replica of it. But yeah, A30s aren't normally picked to go racing. They're the worst combination of everything you want. They're short, narrow, and tall, which is like 3 things that are the opposite of what you need.
It's similar with the P6s. I mean, it's like inboard discs, no normal suspension, weird front suspension.
Yeah.
Fairly flimsy body shell. So
they're quite long as well, so there's a lot of flex in them.
Yeah. That's why when the Camel car was raced, it was quite successful, because it was a very, very wide car and it had a lot of power and the engine was really far back.
Yeah.
But the company, when they raced it, a new guy took it over and they kept removing more and more metal from the base unit to make it lighter, and eventually they took too much out of it, and it was just, well, they called it the Flex Rover eventually, because it was just twist with the power of it.
Right, I'm going to switch it off now.
Yeah, do. Oh. Oh. And that's with the silencers.
Yeah, so I had these silencers made for this season, and when I had it in here and I was getting it ready for the racing, I didn't have the exhaust with me, but I still needed to run it up because I'd done an oil change and just some service work on it.
Get the fluids hot and get it.
And I started it up, and when you're working away at night, you don't realise what time it is. And a neighbour from over the back actually drove all the way around the block to come and see what the hell was making that noise. Yeah, and she was fine about it, to be fair. But yeah, I said to her that okay, well, we won't fire it up after 8. Yeah, they've got kids.
Yeah, it's like my mate's Capri with the. It's the car. The engine that's in my mate's Capri was out of Ron Hanslett's drag car, 572 big block, and that's like 950 horsepower. But we nearly did a video starting it, but some stupid thing happened with it. And he said we can't start it without the exhaust on it.
Yeah.
I was like, why? And he said your ears will physically bleed. He
Yeah.
said it's like 80 decibels on idle, and
Yeah.
he said if you rev it, your ears will physically bleed. So
That's similar to the Rotary because the induction noise, because there's so much induction happening.
yeah, because the rev's so high, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you're on the carburetor and you rev it up, you can feel the pain in your ear.
The droning and.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never heard anything like it.
So if you're making a hot rod for the street, guys, don't straight pipe it. It's not worth it, especially if you're going long
No,
distance.
straight pipe it. No, let's not encourage that. Everything needs to be straight pipe. It's great.
All right, we'll bring ear defenders.
Yeah, that's it. Straight pipe with ear defenders, fluffy ones. But you're going back to what you said about the camel car with the engine far back. So for special saloons in the UK, the regulations are the rear of the gearbox case that actually contains the gears, not the tail shaft. The furthest that can go back in a front engine car is halfway of the original shell. But in Australia and their special saloon series, the rule is that the crank pulley can't pass beyond the original bulkhead, which means that
You can go
have
really
the
far
entire
back.
engine in the car as long as the crank pulley is in front of the bulkhead.
So you can go really far back.
Yeah, so that's why in Australia you see them with the engine is literally next to
Oh,
their
so
leg.
that's probably why the camel car had that
Yeah.
setup. Because the camel car is literally like, I'm holding the microphone, but it's literally like 2 feet back there. Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's just the front of it that's in the engine bay.
Yeah, there are some of the Escorts that raced in the special saloon era, and the on the BDAs and the BDGs, the belt, the timing belt, is actually underneath the windscreen. So the whole engine is inside the car because they use a short bellows and short gearbox to keep it in the middle of the car. So they were allowed to get away with it, but yeah, it's maintenance is terrible. Yeah.
I can imagine. Well, we've got one more vehicle to show you, and yeah, then we'll wrap up the video. We've definitely covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting. I like it's a array of stuff. It's a variety.
Right. We're going to feature everything we possibly can, because that's how YouTube works. I want to show you as much cool stuff as I possibly can in one place. And this is pretty cool. But before we look at the Norton, there's some Triplex Capri memorabilia in here.
So these are this is one, the other one's over there. This is the original set of wings that Jerry raced the car with. And we know that they're the original wings because I've got a picture of this damage here with where that's been filled, and you can see the wings been cut.
You can tell.
I've got a picture of that at Thruxton with that dent in it. Also, the emergency pulls for the fire and the ignition cut-off were in the wing on the car, and they are still, the holes are there, and they've been brazed up.
Oh yeah, look at that. And also, if you spin the wing round, you can see the original Triplex blue. That's the correct original colour. Look right there. That's the original colour. How cool is that?
And it's amazing that the colour that's on this only survives because of the body kit was put on after it when it was a Group 2.
So if it never went to Group 2, that colour would be long gone.
Yeah, so what they did, they put the body kit on and then put the filler on and smoothed it all out, and then they DA'd the whole car back to metal. So that all the colour everywhere else, apart from inside the little, like inside the boot hinges, bonnet hinges, chassis rails, the colour's in there, but on the outside, it's nowhere. Apart from under the kit, and they only found that out when, like I said, my friend who runs the race team, they cut the body kit off with a grinder
When they found it,
underneath.
Yeah. And also, there's an original Jerry wheel and tyre down there.
Yeah, so that's a dated 1978 front Group 1 slick tyre with the front half of the split rim that Jerry raced with.
And there's the other wing. The other wing for it. Look right there.
Yeah, there's the rest of it's in boxes. Yeah,
for the car.
This isn't the original engine. It's one that I've got that I'm building. But there's quite a few original bits with it. Not a lot, but yeah, it's like I said, it's amazing it's the original shell because so many of them were reshelled after they had accidents.
Oh yeah.
And that one had 2 accidents, but they didn't reshell it. They just repaired it.
Well, that was the same with the camel car. I'm going to bring that up again because it's still a Salim race car. When they first imported it to Australia, it was painted in the beautiful Leyland blue. When Jim Smith rebuilt it for the 1974 season, he bought a brand new body shell from Rover and reshelled it and just chopped it all out and space framed it. So a lot of these old race cars have been reshelled multiple times, a lot of them. So to have one that hasn't been reshelled is pretty miraculous, to say the least.
And considering it went from a Group 1 car to then it was modernised to be a Group 1 Mark III Capri when the Mark III came out. And then it was raced as a Group 1 car in the mid to late 80s. Then it was turned into the Thunder Saloon Group 2 car. Then it went out to Spain, it was raced. Then it came back and it had all the innards took out of it. The engine and gearbox was took out, which is amazing that nobody took all the engine and box out of it and then just sold it on and it got scrapped. But yeah, it survived. It's got quite a story to it, which is amazing.
Back to the Norton. So it's a 38?
Yeah, 1938.
Singles, 500.
Yeah, so originally it was an ES2. It's a bit of a bitzer. So it's got the girder fork suspension, solid rear end. It's got a 500 single ES2 engine. It's got the twin bowl TT AML carb, which is really rare, and it's running on pure methanol because it used to be a grass trap bike.
So it's a proper race machine.
Yeah, so it was obviously a road bike, and then it's been changed over the years as they were.
Handlebars lowered down and all that sort of stuff.
I did make these handlebars. It had like the proper, I call them Steve McQueen ones, where they're about 20 foot wide. Yeah, massive things for grass tracking. But so I turned it into a sort of, I wanted to go drag racing with it to do like dragstalgia, just for a bit of fun. But I quite like it, and I grew fond of Nortons then because I'm quite a proud Brummie, and
we'll show the tattoo at this point.
Yeah,
that's dedication.
And then those are all the senior TT wins from 1907 to the first TT to the 1992 that Steve Hislop won.
But there we are. Well, thanks for showing us around. Thanks for having a look. If you want to plug all your social media and your business, obviously, because you're pretty competent at what you do.
Yeah. So my race business is 24/7 Race and Restoration. We look after quite a few customer cars at the minute. We do trackside support, workshop prep, restoration, fabrication. I also have a dedicated page just for the Capri, the Triplex Capri it's called. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and we're telling the story at the minute, and then once the story's told to present day, we'll be coming up with all the updates of the bodywork through the restoration. The Capri, I'm hoping to race it next year. That's the plan, because next year's 2026, which is 50 years since it first raced, which is 76.
Yeah, so you want to get that done.
Yeah, I want to make it for the anniversary of it, because I think it's quite important. But I want to do it right still. So it's a big push to get a car like that done in that amount of time.
Yeah, from basically a rolling shell.
Yeah, we're going to have a go.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And until next time, bye for now.